They got the chat rooms now.
Got it. All right, where are we at next for the boys?
Did we do her?
We'll go slightly serious because then I want us to close on some fun shit again.
Yeah.
Okay, Israel versus Gaza. I don't like saying it. I probably shouldn't say it like that. It sounds again like entertainment. Israel versus Gaza.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Someone's buzzing. All right. So Israel hits Gaza with airstrikes after Hamas fires incendiary balloons. Israel launched airstrikes on the Gaza Strip late Thursday for a second time since a shaky ceasefire ended last month's 11-day war. The strikes came after activists mobilized by Gaza's militant Hamas rulers launched incendiary balloons into Israel for a third straight day. There were no immediate reports of casualties from the strikes, which could be heard from Gaza City. Israel also carried out airstrikes early Wednesday targeting what it is said were Hamas facilities without killing or wounding anyone. The military said fighter jets struck Hamas military compounds and a rocket launch site late Thursday in response to the balloons. It said its forces were preparing for a variety of scenarios, including a resumption of hostilities. Rocket sirens went off in Israel communities near Gaza shortly after the airstrikes. The military later said they were triggered by incoming fire, not rockets. That's in reference to balloons. Surveillance camera footage obtained by the Associated Press showed what appeared to be heavy machine gun fire into the air from Gaza, a possible attempt by Palestinian militants to shoot down aircraft. Other footage showed projectiles being fired from Gaza, but it was unclear what kind or where they landed. Tensions have remained high since ceasefire halted the war on May 21st, even as Egyptian mediators have met with Israel and Hamas officials to try to shore up the informal truce. Let's see. Israel and Hamas have fought for 4 wars and countless small skirmishes since the Islamic militant group seized power from rival Palestinian forces in 2007. Israel and Egypt have imposed a crippling blockade on Gaza, which is home to more than 2 million Palestinians since Hamas took over. My reading is warmed up now.
Nice. Bro. At first, I wanted to say, like, bro, Gaza, just stop, right? Just stop doing it because Israel obviously has like the bigger guns. Like, you're not gonna win that battle, right? But then I reminded, like, the thought came in the back of my head, and I thought about the pod again, right? I think the last time we talked about it. But it was like, I really have no idea what's going on. I don't have a complete picture of the entire scenario to even give my opinion to say, like, Gaza should stop shooting, Israel should stop shooting, because it's like, we have no...
I think we have enough to say, like,
Gaza
should probably stop shooting.
It's not Gaza. It's actually Hamas.
Hamas
is a terrorist organization.
Sorry about that.
That's the main thing. Like that's the side that I keep hearing from like even both sides, even Palestinians and like Jewish people. You know, like that's like the main thing. They need to go infiltrate Hamas. Instead of and Gaza is the one that's just getting their collateral damage.
Well, so Hamas is the Palestinian militant group that rules Gaza.
Exactly. They need to be taken out.
But they're in Gaza though.
Yeah, but they're not like officially Gaza. They just kind of run Gaza.
Yeah.
So then you're shooting missiles at Gaza.
They're
just
a fucking
kidding,
gang.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, basically it's a gang. Yeah.
But what I will say, or at least based on these reports, is they're saying that there were no casualties, that they fired them all off at military places, because that was the thing. And I even had a conversation with my mom. She was kind of saying, like, she was coming off to me as insensitive in terms of, like, but what she was saying was like, this was fired first. This has gone on. Doesn't make sense. Well, and I'm saying, okay, but regardless of any of that, I do think that no matter what happens, innocent people are dying. Like, if you really see the videos, if you were born there in that situation, you would want people to help. You would have wanted Joe Biden to help. You would have wanted people to step in. So that was my stance on that. But yeah, when we're seeing this, it does kind of seem like Hamas need to stop. They should probably stop, only because the retaliation seems every time to be much worse than what they're able to
I hate
afflict.
the media, how they're trying to frame it. They're like, Israel strikes, Israel puts an airstrike on them. It's like, yo, why don't you guys start off with who started it first?
And not even that. Why
Israel started first by invading.
Okay,
Simple.
And maybe I'm less educated, so you can fill us in on that. But, but at the same time, why, like, this? It is interesting, along what you're saying, that the arson attacks we didn't hear any reporting of the arson attacks. We only heard about the retaliation. Which is obviously, it's a bigger deal because they're firing missiles and whatnot. But yeah, we didn't hear about the first instance. But what were you saying? I'm not as educated, to be honest.
So basically, Palestine was run by Palestinians, and then Zionists came and took over And then there's a whole dispute over land, and then Britain, I think, was just like, okay, you guys take this land, and you take this land. And then Israel just started taking more and more land. That's why it's only split into West Bank and Gaza, because they took everything else. And obviously, Hamas, they're undermanned, under-equipped, and they can't really beat Israel. But if you're them, it's just like, they still took over our land, and we're just supposed to let them get away with it.
But, like, what is that doing? Like, that's the thing. That's like...
I know that it's a losing fight, but it's like, when they say, like, oh, like... they should stop attacking. They're painting Israel in the bad light. I'm like, man, Israel did start all this shit in the first place, you know? So it's like, they're not like completely scot-free. Like, this whole conflict is because what they initially did. Yeah. This whole conflict is because of what they did. Like, the way I see it is like, you know how America just took all the natives' land, and to say natives keep on attacking America and keep on getting wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's people getting wiped out. It's like, yo, the natives need to stop, and that's true. But we also need to acknowledge the fact that they're attacking because we came and took their shit.
That's a great point.
But see, okay, so that makes sense. I see where you're coming from then.
And the Indians were called savages for doing that.
That's fact. I also see, but I feel like, okay, in this, it's like if we just saw Saqib get beat up, or like say we're out of the picture, he just got beat up, and the dude's walking away from him, and now he's gonna get up and be like, well, fuck you. I'm like, bro, stop. Like, just stay down. Like, you only gonna get it worse. He already beat your ass once.
He gonna whoop your ass again. He gonna fuck you up again.
Circle the block.
Yeah, just in change. Like, it's just, no matter what is happening, these are leading to. In this case, I'm glad to hear there's no casualties, but you're endangering so many people, and it doesn't seem like it's in defense. If it's just we're just hearing about there's a truce, then incendiary rounds, and it sucks at the civilians of Gaza because. Even when I was having the conversation, they were saying, and they're going to do this. I'm like, but it's not they. If our president goes and does something, it's not us. It's the people in charge. So if you were someone who was born in those same scenarios, you would want there to be peace too. If you were a family that just lost your home, you'd want peace too. But yeah, it just...
comedy style,
dude. That was so funny. That was a great one.
I was about to say, if you was like in those countries, right, and you was at a meeting and you heard somebody speaking passionately, charismatically about like why you should be a terrorist, right, and he was like, "We will die until the day," like he's just really going off about it. Like, how would you feel in a terrorist meeting, like sitting there listening to that? Would you be like, "I don't think this is for me"? What's your reaction in a terrorist
meeting? It's like the kamikazes, man. Not all of them were down, bro. There's hella stories of ones that they kept pulling out. They kept coming. You know, you got executed if you didn't do it. If you was but one guy had like 10 attempts at it. Like they literally, he kept going.
Oh, the kamikazes, like they were like fake out.
Yeah, bro.
I 10 times. You'd be like, so what happened this time? You're supposed to just one plan.
But sorry, but to answer your shit, for me, no, I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to find a new job. Yeah. But you want to know about the kamikaze shit? Because y'all, like I be saying, this is the shit I watch. Some random ass documentaries,
value.
There was a bunch. Yeah, there was a bunch of them that like they would be headed out. First of all, to make people not come back, because it was like a last-ditch effort, but it was psychologically fucking up the U.S. Most of them got shot down anyways, but just in terms of, we've never seen shit. Like, they're literally crashing their planes into us. Yeah. Now we've seen suicide bombers and stuff like that, but back then, it's like we've never seen warfare where they're literally just killing people, right? Literally killing themselves. But they would give them only enough gas to get there, first of all. So it's like, once you go, you can't come back. But some people... they're literally terrified, so they just keep coming back because they were scared. They go halfway and keep coming back, and they'd be like, come on, you got to do this shit again. But technically, before they even left, they signed a contract giving them the option. There was no real option. You're gonna get executed if you don't do this shit. But they made it like it was their choice.
It's like, you die or you die. You know?
Some people were so torn because back then it literally was everything in terms of family, respect, and honor. It was an honorable death. Like, you made your family proud, honorable. And so some guys were literally just fucking shook, like they just couldn't go through with it. Then other guys, one guy, he went out, and they listed as survivors of it. He didn't survive. He just never actually crashed into nothing because he had 2 attempts, and both times his plane had issues, so he had to come back. And then before his 3rd attempt, the war was over.
Oh,
and
he's lucky.
It ate at him for the rest of his life. He was so distraught. He said, like, I didn't get to honor my family. I feel like I let down everyone. Like, it ate at him. And it's crazy to see the difference in mentalities. And I feel like it has to be, I don't know if it's the same with terrorists, because I don't know if it's so much an honor regiment, because in terms of, it was training. It was trained into them. They had this honor thing. Terrorists is probably is a different story.
Is it training or is it like brainwashing kind of?
Well, honestly, military training, a lot of it is
brainwashing.
In a sense, not necessarily in a bad way, but you're trained to be a machine. Like, you look at the Navy SEALs, like the way that they're trained, like a lot of it, you could call it brainwashing, but I think
more like reconditioning.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, reconditioning is
exactly, because I feel like brainwashing is just the negative connotation of like you're literally taking someone's mind versus like
But we could see it like when it comes to terrorist organizations, because we have a certain type of perspective, we'll see it as brainwashing. as opposed to like
Yeah, it's like the negative side.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It's both ends of the spectrum.
And the other time,
Indoctrinating. That's a good word.
Yeah.
They also have
you got smart, yo. Y'all fucking smart.
smart as he went to college.
Both of y'all went to college.
But I see it for them. It's kind of like we rather die fighting than just lay down and be oppressed, you know. And like, even though some people don't have that mentality, I can respect people with that mentality. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, your fighting is harming a lot of people who don't want to fight.
Yeah,
Maybe you should stop fighting for the sake of them,
And-
the people you're trying to protect, you know?
Yeah.
Like, take the fucking Kantian route. Like, you shouldn't have to, like you got to think about the whole. I feel like they go based off utility, because you're just, okay, if we just lose a few people, it's not that bad, you know, as opposed to, like, okay, we should do what's good for everybody, as opposed to, like, just taking those losses.
Yeah, and I feel like we all kind of got to the point of, like, you know, we don't know exactly the entirety of what's going on. So all I can really say is, like, I would just like to see peace, and I don't want to see any
That's
of
the
this happen.
message,
Like, because, you know, I'm thinking the same thing of, like, fam, like, it's just, there's no, because you were saying, like, I understand the viewpoint of people going that way, but it's like, but if you're the leader, that's not how you, like, you could be mad about something, but I'm thinking, okay, but you got to think about how is this going to affect your country. Like, if we were going to start war and the next thing you know, we're getting bombed and things, it's like, we look at the president like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. So, but again, we're not historians, but just from what we can see, I think we can make the agreement of, like, yeah, just if it's a ceasefire, keep it a ceasefire. And if you're Israel, it's fucked up for you to be firing missiles at innocent people, but I am expecting you to retaliate. Any country retaliates when something happens. So just in general, nobody throw nothing, and nothing gets thrown back. Don't throw no stones.
Some of these, like, protests that people are having, they're pretty wild. They're saying, like, really fucked up shit. Like, they're, like, saying, Prophet Muhammad is dead. Prophet Muhammad is dead. It's like, it's being videotaped. You see, like, a whole collage of these types of videos. Or, like, we've killed Arabs before, we could do it again. And it's like, oh, damn, y'all are, like, really in this shit right now. And a lot of Muslim people, like, whether you're Palestinian or not, just, like, Muslims in general, like, you're kind of dissing all of us when you're saying things like that. Yeah. So it's starting up a lot of animosity between everybody. That's just pretty fucked.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it's bothersome to. I feel like
it's hard to watch.
Oh yeah, it's hard to watch, and also it's just, and maybe that's why. And I think you come with a different perspective, and you probably just know more about even just what you're saying is stuff that I wouldn't have known to say, or just known even the viewpoint.
They're giving low blows, you know. They're trying their best.
But even that, it's like, and so maybe I'm not one to talk because I can't speak on where it's coming from. But it's like, just if you're looking at what we're seeing, it's I just feel like people become so divisive and it becomes so far past. But why can't we just all want peace? Like, okay, let's not fire anything, so no one fires anything back, and let's just try to keep it at that. And that's why people were urging Joe Biden, and that's why some people that were posting all this shit before, it's like they didn't even know what really needed to be done. They were just like the people that just hopped on and had no idea, not the people where it's really deep seated and stuff like that. But some of them, it's like, I didn't even hear a majority of people talk about Joe Biden needs to do a ceasefire. They're just saying you need to step up and do something. But that's pretty much what needed to happen. Not that he did. He wasn't the one to do it. I think it was Britain. I might be wrong. But regardless, ceasefire happened. I hope it stays seized.
Well, it started with Britain. So it's like...
Right.
Yeah. They're the root of all of the world's problems.
They're always doing shit, colonizing people.
Exactly.
They can't help it.
we can't go on that rant again.
Right, yeah. We were doing so well, boys. Nah, but yeah.
All right, let's get on some other shit.
Yeah, well, all right, we'll get back light with it or dark, depending on how you look at it. Let's see. Where's this?
Look at the comedy style.